The UUCT care team follows up with congregants who are experiencing joys or sorrows. The care team also addresses needs of congregants. The care team can be contacted by email at careteam@uutampa.org. And now to our service.
Good morning and welcome. Before we begin our service, let us take a moment to share in our stone ritual. I place a stone for our joys. One for our sorrows. And one for our intentions for the coming week.
Hello, my name is Russ Patterson, and I am the worship associate for this service. I'm delighted that you are watching this service and look forward to the time soon, I hope, that we will actually get to meet together.
All right, everybody, let's turn to the teal hymnal 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell the story from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
We light our chalice today with the words by Reverend Scott Taylor, The Dancing Light. Let this dancing light be our guide. Let it lure us into letting go of the worries, of the stiffness that sets in after all the striving of myth that productivity alone gives us purpose. This garden of life we've been given is a playground. The weeding can wait. Today's service is led by Aaron Powers, and the subject is play as a spiritual practice. Play comes naturally to kids, but is often difficult to adults. But it's not just play. Play can be a pathway to a deeper connection with our spiritual selves. Let's explore together to see what we can discover. Erin Powers, her, has served at UUCT for 8 years as the Director for Religious Exploration for Children and Youth. In that time, she has grown deeply in her faith as a UU. Erin is passionate about racial justice, radical inclusion, and empowering our families to live their faith out loud. Outside of church work, Erin enjoys crafting, cooking, and the outdoors. Erin lives with her spouse, John, and his mother, Claire, and their two youngest children, Sophie and Cece. Their oldest, Olivia, is venturing into adulthood in New Jersey, where she attends Montclair State University.
Hello, my name is Erin Powers, and I am the Director of Religious Exploration for Children and Youth here at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Tampa. And today's story comes from the Sufi philosopher Mullah Nasruddin. His stories are always a bit silly, and he often plays the fool. But within each one, there are powerful truths. And so the story goes. Mullah Nasruddin had been working in the fields all day long. He was tired and sweaty, and his clothes and shoes were covered with mud and stains. Because he had been fasting all day long for Ramadan, he was also quite hungry. But finally, it was almost sundown, and Nasruddin knew he would soon be able to eat. The wealthiest man in town had invited everyone to come break their fasts in his home that evening with a huge feast. Nasruddin knew he would be late if he went home to change his clothes before heading into town. He decided it was better to arrive in dirty clothes than be late. Oh, what a party it would be! What a feast! As he walked to the wealthy man's home, Nasruddin imagined the delicious food he would soon be eating. Dates, lentils and chickpeas, olives and bread, hummus, falafel, chicken and beef, and best of all, the desserts, the halva, date rolls, figs, baklava. When Nasruddin arrived, the wealthy man opened the door and looked Nasruddin up and down scornfully. From his worn, ragged clothes down to his muddy shoes. Without a word of welcome, he gestured for Nasruddin to come in and walked abruptly away. Nasruddin joined the throngs of people who were all dressed in their finest clothing. The tables were laden with all sorts of delicious foods. Dates, lentils and chickpeas, olives and bread, hummus, falafel, chicken and beef, and best of all, the desserts. Halva, date rolls, figs, and baklava. Despite his best efforts to hurry, the seats were all taken, and nobody tried to move over or make space for Nasruddin. In fact, nobody offered him food. He had to reach over and around people to get any food for his plate. Nobody spoke to him. It was as if he wasn't even there. The other guests ignored him so completely that Nasruddin could not enjoy the food on his plate, no matter how finely it was prepared and how tasty it was. In fact, after only a few bites, Nasruddin was so uncomfortable, he decided to leave. He hurried home and changed into his finest clothing, including a beautiful coat. Nasruddin returned to the feast, and this time the host welcomed him with a huge smile. Come in, greeted the host. As Nasruddin entered, people waved and called to him from all corners of the room as they invited him to sit near them and offered him food. Nasruddin sat down quietly. Picking up a plump fig, he carefully placed it into a coat pocket, saying, "Eat, coat, eat." Next, he took a handful of nuts and placed them in a pocket, saying, "Eat, coat, eat." And he began feeding his coat in earnest, grabbing all sorts of foods. He fed the coat lentils and chickpeas, olives and bread, hummus, falafel, chicken and beef, and best of all, the desserts, the halva, date rolls, figs, and baklava. Nasruddin became silent as they watched this strange behavior. Soon everyone in the room was staring at Nasruddin, wondering what he was doing. The host hurried over. "Nasruddin, whatever are you doing? Why are you feeding your coat in this manner?" "Well," replied Nasruddin, "when I first came to this feast in my old farming clothes, I was not welcome. No one would speak with me. But when I changed into this coat, suddenly I was greeted warmly. So I realized it was not me that was welcome at this party, but my clothing. And so I am feeding my coat." And with that, our story ends.
We'll begin our meditation today with these words by Linda Underwood. All this talk of saving souls. All this talk of saving souls. Souls weren't made to save like Sunday clothes that give out at the seams. They're made for wear. They come with lifetime guarantees. Don't save your soul. Pour it out like rain on cracked, parched earth. Give your soul away or pass it like a candle flame. Sing it out or laugh it up into the wind. Souls were made for hearing, breaking hearts for puzzling dreams, remembering August flowers, forgetting hurts. These men who talk of saving souls, they have the look of bullies who blow out candles before you sing happy birthday and want the world to be in alphabetical order. I will spend my soul playing it out like sticky string into the world so I can watch every last thing I touch.
Please join in singing number 354, We Laugh, We Cry. We dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give. We have our thoughts to receive. And we believe that sharing is an answer. A child is born among us and we feel a special glow. We see time's endless journey as we watch each thought may we grow. We thrill to hear imagination freely running wild. We dedicate our minds and hearts to the spirit of this child, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a time to be together, and with the grace of age we share the wonder of youth, and we believe that growing is an answer. Our lives are full of wonder, and our time is very brief. The death of one among us fills us all with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memories we shared with friends, they will linger on and on, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a place to be together. We have the right to grow. We have the gift to believe that peace within our living is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the questions of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see even the question truly is an answer.
Growing up in the Catholic tradition, play and church were two very separate things. They were not to mix or be combined. Spiritual practice was also something that primarily happened in church on Sunday. This is a fairly typical church experience for so many of us, especially if you attended more traditional denominations. Church was solemn, serious, and reverent. It was a time for quiet listening and sitting still. Sure, the priest or pastor might make a lighthearted joke occasionally, but the experience as a whole had a rather serious tone. And to be clear, there's nothing wrong with church services and spiritual practices that are solemn and quiet. It has its place, but for many of us, this was our only taught experience of spiritual practices as a child. This very narrow experience of spiritual practices and of worship services has left many feeling unfulfilled in church settings. And I do want to pause here and note that there are many instances of harmful theology and trauma in church settings that contribute to spiritual disconnection. The ideas I share here may not be appropriate for all people in all situations. If you have experienced harm from theology or church leaders, I do encourage you to seek healing guidance from professionals. You are not at fault for things that happened, and you are so worthy of healing and of a meaningful and nurturing spiritual life. And so, when these early formative experiences of church and spirituality are narrow in scope and uninspiring, it can discourage us from seeking it in our adult lives or from searching for something that is fulfilling. We might very well grow up thinking spirituality isn't our thing. And since our childhood experiences can shape our worldview, many of us grew up with the internalized idea that spiritual practices are quiet and still and happen inside a specific building, and that play, joy, and pleasure are outside of that realm. Play happened elsewhere and might be something you need to atone for when you return to the church building. These explicit and implicit messages have stifled this spiritual development for so many. And we can internalize these ideas even if we are not consciously aware of them. This disparity between messages from the church and our lived experiences of joy and play has been a source of spiritual confusion and struggle for many. If we as humans are created in the image of a higher power, why would our communion with them be so narrow and prescribed? If we need to set aside part of ourselves to be in the presence of the holy, are we truly in relationship, or are we merely an acquaintance? This reminds me of another Mullah Nasruddin story, the lost key. One day, people saw Mullah Nasruddin out in the street searching frantically for something. "What are you searching for, Mullah?" they inquired. "I've lost my key," replied Mullah. And so everyone joined him in searching, looking up and down the street in front of his house. After some time of searching unsuccessfully, someone asked him where exactly was the key lost. "I lost the key in the house," replied Mullah matter-of-factly. "Then why are you searching for it in the street?" "Because there is more light here," replied Mullah. Now you can imagine the frustration and exasperation his neighbors felt. They had been looking in the wrong place. And for those of us searching for a connection to the holy, to the sacred, to the well within ourselves, we are sometimes looking in the wrong place. As adults, serious, mature adults, when we want to learn something new, we typically look online or in a library. Surely there is a book or a podcast or a tutorial about whatever it might be. And there is value in seeking knowledge for intellectual pursuits, but that is not the only way to learn and grow. Spirituality is a full body experience. It transcends the intellect and engages the heart and soul. To truly awaken it and connect with it, we need to engage our whole selves. And there really is no better way to bring your full self to something than through play. And this isn't always easy for grown people. We often feel pressure to get our work done first, or to not dabble in childish things. But that goes against our very nature as humans. Peter Gray, an American psychologist, says, "The drive to play freely is a basic biological drive. Lack of free play may not kill the physical body, as would lack of air, food, or water, but it kills the spirit and stunts mental growth. End quote. Our time on this earth is too short to not live to the fullest, to not nurture our spiritual growth as much as possible. Play is our spiritual self living its best life. Play is human existence as it was meant to be. When we are at play, our spirit is in alignment with our truest self. Play opens doors and welcomes all. Through play, we can test our boundaries and move beyond our comfort zone into new experiences and new worlds. Deeply spiritual experiences often feel like we have transcended this world into another. Play can light a path toward this spiritual realm. Play is so integral to our experience as humans, as spiritual beings, that there are endless ways to engage in play, just as there are endless ways to be a person. Play is that which makes the hours pass like minutes. Play is that which brings contentment and peace. Play is that which helps us grow and expand our understanding of ourselves and each other. Jill Violette, founder of Playworks, an organization that helps children in schools experience healthy, safe play for greater mental and physical health, says play matters because people matter. It reminds us of our interdependence and gives us a chance to really see other people, and in turn, to be really and truly seen. How many of us belong to faith communities for the same reason? We are wired for connection to each other and to something greater than ourselves. We may call this greater something many different things, but the innate need is within us all. As Teilhard du Chardin, French Jesuit priest, wrote, "We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience." End quote. The more we lean into play, the more we tap into our innate spirituality. And as we grow, our play changes. We might not even recognize it as such, but it is still play. Our passions, our diversions are all ways we play. They are a break from the drudgery. They are the opportunity to be our truest selves. When we garden, craft, cook, make art and music, we are playing and nurturing our spirits. When we make little games or jokes that are silly and absurd, our soul giggles. And if your spirituality includes a higher power, I know they giggle too. Ralph Waldo Emerson famously said, "The earth laughs in flowers." However you practiced your spirituality, when you do it playfully, the entire universe joins you in this play. So how do we play more in this modern, hectic world? If your days are full, I suggest scheduling time for play. I know it feels counterintuitive, but play is as important as work, and maybe even more so. For many of us, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen. So make sure that play happens. Schedule play before work. How would that change your daily spiritual life? Visual cues are another great help. For so many of us, if we can't see it, it doesn't exist. Put a picture or phrase somewhere you'll notice it regularly, or an object related to your favorite way to play. Notice them and remind yourself of how good it feels in your body, mind, and spirit when you play. And for many UUs who grew up in more strict denominations, playing in church can still feel a little odd. But I assure you that you likely already play when you come to church, online or in person. Dressing up for church is a form of play. Even though UUs tend to be more casual, dressing up is a ritual many of us still practice. Playing with our appearance helps our body and mind be open to being transformed. It signifies that there is something special about that time. As we begin to plot our way back to in-person services and events, consider how you dress as a way to be playful. Do you have certain attire that tells your spirit it's time for play? Or do you want to try something new? Is there something you've always wanted to wear, but weren't sure how it would feel? Well, try it and find out. Our interactions with each other is also a form of play. There will be many bumps as we find our way into uncharted territory. And being playful with each other can ease this transition and strengthen our ties to each other. Instead of harsh feelings, we can grow camaraderie as we figure out new ways of being together. As UUs, we are always growing and learning in our faith. Play is such a powerful catalyst for learning and growing. Friedrich Froebel, who created the concept of kindergarten, says play is the highest expression of human development in childhood. For it alone is the free expression of what is in a child's soul. And I believe that this is true for all of us, for our entire lives. Play gives our soul permission to fully express itself, to reach its highest expression. My wish for you today and always is to have a playful spiritual life full of growth and joy. May it be so.
To support the UUCT with your generous financial gifts, please go to the UUCT website and click on the Click Here link to donate. It will take you to our donation page, and you can securely make your donation to the church. Thank you.
Blessing earth and sky, bless the winds as they go by. I am blessed with breathing warm, fresh and strong and cool. I'm blowing on an east wind. Hush, hush, for I am south wind, soft and slow. Cold and cleansing, snowy, icy, I am north wind. Blessing earth and sky, bless the winds as they blow by. Hush and silence, quiet and I am soft and slow.
chalice today with these words by Teresa Honey Youngblood, one of our favorite tools. Gods, thank you for mirth, for merrymaking, for jokes and laughter and silliness. Help us not to forget that playfulness is one of your favorite tools.
And now, everybody, we're going to sing number 128 in our hymnals, For All That Is Our Life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad. For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
The closing words for our worship service is a quote by Alan Watts. They are delighted who join in this play, knowing it is play. For people suffer only because they take as serious what the gods made for fun. Thank you very much for joining us today. We'll be having a coffee hour at 11:30 on Sunday, June 13th. You can find the Zoom link for this, and please join us and chat with other folks. We can talk a little bit about this service and other events. So thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you all in real life very soon. Goodbye.